Some people believe that masturbation is a natural behavior, but in reality, this is only true to a certain extent. The question arises, how frequent is considered normal, and at what point does this behavior become a serious issue or a sign of addiction? If you find it challenging to control this habit, it might be a warning sign worth noting. In this article, we will help you address masturbation, although regarded as a natural human behavior, is also observed in many other animal species, such as dogs. This phenomenon has been widely recognized in modern medical practice. However, if left unchecked, this behavior can lead to negative effects on both your mental and physical health. It not only provides temporary satisfaction, but also carries the risk of reducing concentration, draining energy, and affecting personal relationships. Therefore, understanding and moderating this behavior is essential to avoid the pitfalls that could impact the quality of your life. The common perception of masturbation as a natural and harmless behavior is not always accurate. Historically, this act was often regarded as sinful, particularly for men, as it was believed to hinder reproductive abilities. Masturbation was thought to cause the waste of semen, which was deemed incompatible with procreation. For women, however, masturbation was viewed differently, sometimes as a means of achieving independence from men, allowing them to experience pleasure on their own without the need for a partner. Beyond moral concerns, there were also medical apprehensions, with some suggesting that masturbation could be a source of illness and should not be encouraged. Today, perceptions of masturbation have evolved significantly, yet debates about its effects persist. Some studies indicate that masturbation can affect men both positively and negatively. For example, for men who experience insomnia, this activity might help them fall asleep more easily after reaching orgasm. According to research from the French Institute of Health and Medical Research, when men achieve orgasm, the cerebral cortex, the part of the brain responsible for conscious cognitive activities, enters a resting state. This not only reduces immediate sexual desire, but also facilitates falling asleep. This is also why many men tend to fall asleep after sexual intercourse. However, the question remains, is this truly beneficial? While masturbation may offer certain benefits, such as stress relief and relaxation, it also poses potential risks. One of the biggest concerns is the release of dopamine, a hormone that induces feelings of pleasure and satisfaction in the brain. Dopamine plays a key role in improving mood, promoting comfort, and reducing stress. However, the euphoria that dopamine provides can lead to addiction if individuals overuse masturbation to achieve that sense of gratification. Frequent overindulgence can result in negative effects on mental health, physical well-being, and social relationships. It is noteworthy that masturbation addiction, also known as hypersexuality disorder, has been included in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM. This highlights that while masturbation is a natural behavior, it can become a serious medical issue when it is out of control. Individuals with this disorder often find it difficult to regulate their behavior, leading to a decline in quality of life, lack of focus, and reduced energy for daily activities. The question then is, where is the line between normal behavior and a concerning problem? It is crucial for each individual to understand their own limits and recognize when this behavior begins to negatively impact their life. In the modern world, masturbation is no longer as harshly judged as it once was. But this does not mean it is entirely harmless. Finding balance and adjusting habits to be healthy is the key to living a fulfilling life and avoiding the psychological traps that this behavior can potentially bring. In 2017, excessive masturbation was classified as a form of obsessive-compulsive disorder, a serious issue that can harm not only the mind, but also deeply impact family relationships. When out of control, you risk becoming a slave to your own desires or a victim of your inability to regulate yourself. This can lead to dopamine saturation in the brain, making individuals prone to unhealthy behaviors such as engaging with sex workers, participating in unhealthy sexual relationships, or excessively consuming pornographic content, as highlighted in previous studies. Dopamine, a chemical produced in the brain, plays a central role in the development of masturbation addiction. When the brain becomes accustomed to releasing dopamine, it drives you to continuously seek new stimuli to achieve the same level of euphoria as before. The brain then demands increasing amounts of dopamine to reach equivalent satisfaction levels, creating a vicious cycle of seeking new experiences to stimulate desire. In such cases, frequent masturbation can lead to growing dissatisfaction. When the brain recognizes that dopamine levels have exceeded a threshold, it attempts to regulate by reducing or blocking dopamine receptors to prevent the repetition of excessive behavior. However, this is also when addicts feel the most frustrated, as they can no longer experience satisfaction despite continuing the behavior. This dissatisfaction often leads to feelings of restlessness, further pushing individuals to seek new ways to achieve gratification, only to result in escalating frustration. This condition mirrors other forms of addiction, such as a smoker unable to quit, someone overeating chocolate to the point of nausea, or an alcoholic who keeps drinking despite knowing it is destroying their health. These behaviors, initially providing euphoria, ultimately become the source of frustration and harm. Uncontrolled masturbation is no exception, as it leads to a similar cycle of self-destruction. Therefore, gaining a clear understanding of the impact of this behavior is crucial. Proper moderation and habit control can help you avoid psychological traps while preserving mental and physical health. Instead of allowing dopamine to dominate your life, seek out positive and healthy activities to enhance your quality of life and steer clear of the negative consequences of uncontrolled masturbation. Excessive masturbation to satisfy pleasure-seeking desires raises an important question. What relevance does Stoic philosophy have to this issue? Renowned Stoic philosophers like Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus are celebrated for their self-control and sharp intellect, leaving a profound philosophical legacy on the nature of pleasure and passion. In their exploration of human impulses, they offered fresh perspectives that continue to resonate deeply with us today. According to Stoic philosophy, masturbation is not merely a physical act of gratification, but an opportunity to explore the boundaries between body and mind. Stoics viewed this as the foundation of true freedom, where individuals could cultivate deeper self-awareness. For them, controlling desires and pleasures was not about complete denial, but a triumph that celebrates human spirit and resilience. Epictetus, another influential philosopher, famously stated that virtue lies not only in self-control, but also in the conscious enjoyment of pleasure. From this perspective, the ability to experience and simultaneously regulate pleasure is seen as a hallmark of higher self-awareness. An individual who can derive satisfaction from natural needs while understanding their limits and consequences demonstrates superior wisdom compared to those who are swept away by their desires. Seneca, in his philosophical writings, emphasized that humans should not be compelled to surrender to their desires, but instead should master and direct them. Regarding masturbation, Stoic philosophy does not merely advocate suppression of the act, but seeks to cultivate profound self-awareness and self-control. This is not about outright rejection of fleeting pleasures, but about channeling emotions and actions toward conscious and intentional self-discovery. Through this lens, pleasure is not merely a temporary sensation of happiness, but an opportunity for deeper self-understanding. Stoics believe that humans should accept and comprehend their most profound tendencies rather than be dominated by them. They argued that every action has consequences, not only for the individual but also for the harmony of the universe. Stoicism places great emphasis on maintaining natural order and balance in life. Self-mastery not only enables individuals to achieve spiritual freedom, but also fosters harmony with the higher principles of nature. When faced with temptations, Stoics do not view them as something to be entirely eradicated, but as opportunities to train mindfulness and emotional control. In other words, this philosophy teaches that controlling desires such as masturbation is not merely about avoiding negative consequences, but also about attaining deeper self-understanding. It is a journey toward balance between body and mind, where true freedom can be found, unbound by fleeting desires. Ultimately, Stoic philosophy's message is not about rejecting pleasure, but about using it as a tool for self-development and exploration, while maintaining balance and harmony with the universe. A harmonious relationship with nature is an essential aspect of maintaining inner balance. However, when we allow ourselves to be swept away by extreme desires, such as uncontrolled masturbation, we lose that profound connection. As a result, we become prisoners of our own desires, gradually distancing ourselves from inner peace. Compulsive masturbation not only leads to feelings of guilt and shame, but also brings dissatisfaction and storms of conflicting emotions. Stoic philosophers emphasize the importance of controlling emotions rather than allowing them to dominate our lives. They encouraged consciously recognizing strong emotions, using self-regulation and reflection to transform them into tools for personal growth. According to this philosophy, discovering inner tranquility is the key to achieving true satisfaction. This does not come from fleeting desires, but from self-control and finding joy in simplicity and virtue. A personal story I once encountered illustrates this clearly. I knew someone who struggled with an obsession with masturbation, frequently seeking short-lived gratification to escape life's pressures. Each time they engaged in the behavior, they faced feelings of guilt, self-reproach, and an unrelenting wave of emotions. It was a vicious cycle that pulled them further away from inner peace. However, change came when this person began applying the principles of Stoicism. By learning to confront their impulses and emotions consciously, they gradually regained self-control and developed the ability to self-regulate. Instead of fleeing or being ruled by their emotions, they used Stoic philosophy to focus on self-mastery and live more intentionally. As a result, they discovered true joy, not from fleeting pleasures, but from the inner peace that self-discipline brings. Now, this person has freed themselves from the chains of transient desires, living a life of freedom and meaning. Their story underscores that self-mastery not only brings balance, but is also the path to sustainable happiness. The lessons of Stoicism teach us not only to control strong emotions, but also to gain the strength to live a life in harmony with ourselves and with nature. Inner peace and sincerity arise when we live in alignment with our core ideals and values. It is in these moments that we experience true joy in life. However, when we allow ourselves to be drawn into fleeting desires, we can easily lose sight of what truly matters. This can alienate us from the lofty goals we have set for ourselves and rob us of the profound joy that virtue and inner tranquility bring. If we become entangled in behaviors that exploit momentary comfort, such as compulsive masturbation, it not only undermines our self-control, but also diminishes our ability to attain peace of mind. To steer clear of such temptations, we must cultivate mental serenity by confronting our emotions in a healthy and conscious way. Engaging in practices like meditation and mindfulness can help us reconnect with ourselves, keeping our minds from being consumed by regret and thus sustaining inner calm. Pursuing self-control and moderation not only fosters balance in life, but also shields our spirit from temptations. Inner motivation, if not properly directed, can become a significant obstacle to peace. By maintaining self-awareness and determination, we can build a resilient mind discovering the complete joy found in tranquility and spiritual freedom. True serenity is the result of living in harmony with our highest values. It is a testament to our commitment to leading a meaningful life, guided by principles that reflect the essence of who we are.